Hi everyone, welcome to the second Matchbook Horse Racing podcast of the week. It's a Galway special. We're focusing not on the whole festival, but taking in the Plate, which takes place tomorrow. That's Wednesday, and the Hurdle, which takes place on Thursday, and any more besides on those days. Thursday's a really good card, in truth. It's got some real depth to it. Donn McClean joins us, and Matt Toombs as well, our resident jumps expert. Don, how's things? Are you heading down to Galway for a couple of days?
Yeah, all good, Tom. I was there yesterday for the day, and I'm back on Thursday and Sunday. So it's called pacing yourself, I think. That's why. Yeah, that's the thinking process behind it. But it was great day yesterday. Yeah, brilliant. A few good winners and really exciting horse and won the opener, Mystical Power, Any Power's son. So yeah, it was a good day yesterday.
Matt, is this I take it Galway preoccupies your thoughts a little more than Goodwood. That's fair to say, right?
Yeah, just a little bit more. Was there again last year, and the crack's just absolutely fantastic, both at the course and in the town. Particularly for British viewers, if you've got a bucket list of places to go and festivals to see, this really should be on it. It is great fun, and as we'll see in races like Plate and the Hurdle, there's some good racing as well.
Yeah, and Matt's got a couple of those trends to help find some underbet horses, hopefully, in both the Plate and the Hurdle. Okay, a reminder to like and subscribe, please do, because it makes it far easier for you to take in each and every podcast that goes out. It helps you, it helps us as well. So if you're enjoying our content, do like and subscribe. Right, Wednesday we go. We're going to start with the Plate, the 640. Matt, I'll ask you to just kick straight off with the trend that you found, please.
So the trend is that in the last 12 seasons where there's been a Punchestown festival, 10 of the 12 Plate winners have run either in the novice handicap chase or the open handicap chase at Punchestown. They both run over an intermediate trip. Both those races are grade A, grade 3 in the new Pilots handicap. So it's not surprising they're good guides. They're good guides for certain types of horses. And none of those 10 Plate winners won at Punchestown for the place. More importantly, none won the Plate off a mark more than £1 higher than they run off at Punchestown. So it's been important not to blow your handicap mark there. There were two runners from each Punchestown race this year. Kilcruck's got a stiff task, up £12. I'll let Tom make the case for Andy Dufresne in a minute. I was interested in the other two to go well at huge prices, Authorised Dart and Lieutenant Command. The ground looks as if it may go against them. There's a lot of rain forecast for tonight. If the rain misses the track, they're both well worth a look. In particular, Lieutenant Command, the outside of the whole field, 51.0, only had 4 runs on fences quicker than soft, which includes both his wins. His only win over hurdles came here. So if the rain doesn't come, I wouldn't put anyone off throwing a few coins at him. I'm glad I didn't have an anti-post bet, actually, with the uncertainty about the weather, because my original fancy was Ash Tree Meadow, who was 7 lengths fourth in this last year, less than 3 months after making his chasing debut. Had it looked like there was going to be a sound surface, he'd win the selection, but the ground looks like going against him. Jack Kennedy's on Fury Road. So if the forecast's wrong and there's not much more rain, I'll suspect I'll be backing Ash Tree Meadow tomorrow. But assuming the ground ends up soft, I'll go with Ciel de Neige. He went off 2.88 for that grade A open handicap chase at the Punchestown Festival I've mentioned in 2022. Fair fifth there off 149 on the handicap debut. And the vibes were that Willie never got a clear run with him last season. He only ran 3 times. The last of those, despite not looking to take to the national fences, still running a good race off 152, 1 unseating, 2 out. He looked a good prospect for a top handicap before that. And if he's back in form, he could go well at a price off 147. He handled most types of ground, and plenty of these will be inconvenienced if it comes up soft. So at a big price, 21.0, he's the play.
I'll come to the ground and Don shortly. So Andy Dufresne sort of fits that trend, does he? That's not my intention whatsoever. It's more an insurance bet, because if he does win, Andy Dufresne, and I haven't backed him, I'll jump out the window in front of me. But he fits the billing, does he?
Yeah, he unseated in the open handicap chase that's produced 4 of the winners in that section, 6 this century. So it's been a good trial.
Okay. Well, my angle into him is that if you look at the price he went off for that 6.0, he's knocking around at 21.0, the same price as your Ciel de Neige, as it happens. And I just thought, off a mark of 150, if I was willing to steam into him off 155 in the Grand Annual, I'd backed him the year before as well. And I remember the weight of money that came from this year in the Grand Annual. I know he was disappointing on the face of it, but I had thought a year previously in that race at Cheltenham when he chased home the all-the-way winner trained by Ben Paul in Global Citizen. I thought maybe this is a horse that wants the intermediate trip now. So I figured maybe 2.6.5 will stretch him. I don't know. But I thought off a marker 150 over a trip, which I think might be a little bit more his bag anyway than the flat 2 miles, I couldn't leave him unbacked at those sorts of prices. Andy Dufresne, ground wise, soft will be absolutely fine. Although I would worry about his stamina reserves if it got very testing. Don, what are you expecting come day 3 of the meeting, come Wednesday, ground wise?
Yeah, as Matt was saying there, Tom, they're forecasting plenty of rain towards the later part of today and tonight. So, and that makes me worried about Enniskerry. I'm trying to, when you've had a horse in line for a race for a while and then conditions are not going to be ideal, you kind of try and shoehorn him into the race. So he does have form on softer ground as a bumper horse, and I'm just hoping that the rain doesn't arrive in the quantities that they're suggesting, because to my mind, he's a real Galway Plate horse. I'm sure he doesn't fit many trends. He didn't run in either of those Punchestown races of Matt's. He's 9 years old now, but Royal Rendezvous actually won as a 9-year-old, and he's a really lightly raced 9-year-old. He's only had 3 runs now over fences. And you go back to his Galway record, as we saw yesterday, we're going to see all week. Form at Galway, it's such an unusual track. It's a tight track, but it's a stiff track, which is quite an unusual combination, especially over fences. That big sweep and run after you jump the 2 fences in the dip. We've seen races change complexion dramatically in that run up the hill and around the home turn. So it's a track where you need to experience at Galway. Look, experience at any track is an asset to bring back to any track, but I think at Galway it's more pronounced than at most tracks. And he ran well in the novice hurdle at Galway. Then he won his beginner's chase last year. He won the Latin Quarter beginner's chase, which is often a good race, and he won it impressively. And when he won in the flat there at Leopardstown a couple of weeks ago, and afterwards Barry Connell seemed to be suggesting that he might not go for the plate, but he's going for it now. And Michael O'Sullivan, he's just such a very, very good rider, and he's Barry Connell's rider, obviously, and he's getting lots of opportunities wherever he goes. But he's a big asset. And then Enniskerry, his jumping in winning the Grade 3 Kilbeggan Novice Chase at Roscommon last September was very good. He's stepping out in trip, but he has form over 2.5 miles. So I'm hoping that he'll get to 2 miles 6 or 2 miles 6.5. And he's obviously in tremendous form, because Barry Connell, for whatever reason, has decided now to allow him to take his chance. And his flat run the last day, it was just a serious run. Now, okay, on goodish ground, but it was a really impressive run. It was his first run back since he was pulled up in the Drinmore Chase back in Ferryhouse back in early December last year. So he comes into it a fresh horse. And if he gets away with the ground, I can see him running a big race.
That is Enniskerry, who is 11.0 for Michael O'Sullivan and Barry Connell. We're going to come to Kilcrut a little bit later on when we talk lays. I'm going to give that away, but we're going to come to Kilcrut a little bit later on. Anybody have anything else to say on the Galway Plate? Moving on. Good. Okay. I'm sitting the next couple out. I will bow to greater minds on the next 2 we're going to be doing on the Wednesday. So we're going to start with the 7.15. And then we'll move on to the last off the back of that. 7.15 is 2 mile half a furlong for a mare's handicap hurdle. Again, I'll read out prices as and when we get there. Matt, you can kick us off again if you don't mind. So you've got a win and place shout.
Yeah, it's a horse called Binks. The last time she ran on testing ground, she was half length second to Ottoman Style of 106 over 2.5 at Goran in February. That's worked out well. Ottoman Style followed up off £6 higher next time. The 3rd and the 6th one next time as well. Binks won a maiden next time at Tremor on good ground before a poor run under a claimer at Cork. Brian Hayes, who's on at Goran and Tremor, is back in the plate here. Trainer Martin Hassett's had a good run over the last few months, and there were plenty of good ground 2-milers in this field. Binks' proven stamina and ability to handle testing ground should stand her in good stead here. I'd imagine that she'll be a decent price, so hopefully she's a play in the win, but also in the place market. She might run on past a few tiring horses if the rain does arrive.
That's Binks for Brian Hayes and Martin Hassett, 5-year-old, as you say. I haven't got prices as yet. I'll keep searching. Don, who are you with?
Yeah, I'm with Ballybon Belter, Tom. I just think she's a seriously improving mare. I thought she'd get more than £7 for winning the last day at Punchestown. She won the Paddy Mullins Mares Hurdle at the Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival, and that's always a really competitive race. She won it well, and she disappointed at Fairyhouse then at the Grand National meeting in a competitive handicap hurdle, but back in the Adair Manor final at the Punchestown Festival, she was very good again. Like, she only got home by a length from Bread and Butter, and you can argue that Bread and Butter was maybe a wee bit unlucky. She got in behind, she got stuck in a little bit of traffic, got out late and stayed on well. But Ballybon Belter, she hit the front a long way out, and she was probably idling on the run in. I thought she had a wee bit more in hand in the winning margin, and the £7 hike was fine, brings her up to a mark of 121. Aidan Kelly takes £5 off. Aidan Kelly's very, very good young rider. He's a conditional going places, and his £5 is big value. And like, she stays further than the trip, than the extended 2 miles. So I think that's a help at Galway, and it'll be a help as well if the ground softens. She's still a lightly raced mare, and like, she's only 5, so I think there's plenty more to come from her. I think she's a mare who can progress again, and be better than 121 rated mare. So yeah, I think she's going to be a big player here.
Okay, yeah, struggling for prices. Do you think, is she most likely to be towards the top of the betting? Do you think, Don?
I have no idea, Tom. I'm hoping not.
No, I know. I'm trying to go through.
Yeah, I don't think it's priced. I haven't been able to find prices anywhere. So yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprising. I mean, the JP McManus colours straight away, that's going to attract bookmakers' attention. But I like that it's normally an open enough, like it's a really competitive race, and the winners down through the years have been most of them have been double figure prices. So I think
they all have. Well, no, actually, you've got to go back to 2016 when our Kylie took it for Brian Ellison at 10.0. But otherwise, yeah, big prices. I mean, that's the nature of all these races at Galway. They are 20 runner fields, all the races we're looking at by and large. So you should be getting a half decent price. Doesn't make it easy. The 820 we come to next is over 2 miles, 6.5 furlongs. It's Galway Handicap Hurdle. And Don, I'll let you kick us off with this. Where are you looking in the last?
Yeah, again, no prices that I could find. I suspect Purple Mountain might be towards the head of the market, though. Al Hanlon's mare, who I think she won the mares race last year. And Zoffany Bay is what I'm looking at. Peter Fahey, he doesn't kind of get the press that the Emmett Mullins or the Willie Mullins or the Dermot Wells do at Galway, but he does very well at Galway. He had a very good Galway last year, and he had a few crossbars as well last year and the year before. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zoffany Bay, if he's had him in mind for this race for a while. He's a fascinating horse, because on his first run for Peter Fahey since he joined from France, he went to Ascot and ran in a competitive handicap hurdle there, and was only just beaten by Irish Hill at a big price. Then he kind of seemed to lose his way a little bit after that. Went back to Sandown and was well beaten in the Imperial Cup when he was a much shorter price than he had been for the previous race. He had a nice break after that. He came back. He had a good run on the flat at Tipperary, and then last time at Tramore, he won what's called the Tramore Derby, and won it well. Stayed on well. That was over 1.5 miles. Of course, it was. It's a Derby, and then back over hurdles. He's 9 years old now, and he's had plenty of racing, but he looks like he's improving since he's joined Peter Fahey. And yeah, I think he's got plenty in his favour. He handles soft ground as well, and I just think that there's a good chance that flat run at Tramore would have been the race that'll bring him forward nicely for Galway. And Peter Fahey's his horses are that he had a real purple patch a few weeks ago, and his horses they've been running well recently in the last couple of weeks without winning. So he's always a man to be feared, and especially at Galway. So I think Zoffany Bay. And again, I have no idea what price he'll be, but I'm hoping it'll be a bit of a price. Yeah,
I think he should be off the back of. I mean, I backed him at Sandown. He was disappointing that day. Peter Fahey's horse, and his brother had one running, I think, that day as well. They were both a bit disappointing. Mind you, I suppose he won on the flat last time. You know what's going to happen now, Don, don't you? Now you've talked up Peter Fahey. You know what Coventry's going to win. First start for Peter Fahey. I'm afraid it's almost a given.
Probably.
Yeah. So he's got a couple in the race, but Zoffany Bay for Don. Matt?
Yeah, I was interested in him as well, but I came down on the Mullins horse, Will of One, who finished powerfully to bolt clear on the run-in under Patrick over 2 miles, Balin Road last time of 104. Form's worked out well. Second solitary man won his subsequent start £3 higher. Third's also won since. That was on good ground, and he is £12 higher. But he's out of a Fleming's Firth mare whose progeny, as you might expect, gone on testing ground. He looked to handle it himself when he was a solid second on his return to the smaller obstacles at Fairy House the previous run. Having been ridden pretty conservatively, he finished really strongly over 2.5 there. That looked like a bit of a confidence booster. Different proposition last time at Balin Road over a trip that looked too short for him. £12 is a lot, but it may not be enough to stop him. And I think the way he's shaped, the step up to 2 miles 6 may well improve him further.
All right, that's the 3 we're looking at on Wednesday done. Off the back of that, we move on to any others, which I don't think we've got. That's it for Wednesday. Yes, everyone? Confirmed. Good. Matchbook Zero long shot then. So reminder that market goes live 10 a.m. every day. There's no maximum bet now. There was £20 there, but that's not the case. You're most likely to be getting better odds because of the nature of an exchange, and there's zero margin on Matchbook Zero, and there's zero commission. So all your winnings are all yours. Most likely to be getting best odds. It's well worth checking out. And we're going to give you a long shot that you can back on Matchbook Zero and hopefully make a good bit of cash. Mine's Andy Dufresne for pretty obvious reasons. The only horse I'm backing on the day. That's the 640 at Galway, the plate. Matt?
I'm taking you on the same race with the same owners, Ciel de Neige, 21.
And Don?
It's all right, the same owner as Ballygon Belter. Yeah, well, I don't know what price she is, but I'm hoping she'll be a long odds-ish price.
Hopefully a good day for the green and gold. You've got one lay for us then, back in the plate. Now, I guess you've already spelt out, Matt, why Kilcrup wouldn't be for you because of that huge hike for the Punchestown win, but he was pretty good.
He was very good, but just to give some context to this, 160 is the highest mark that any horse has won any Grade A handicap chase, Grade 3 in the new parts, off in Ireland any time this century. And that was Royal Rendezvous in the 2 mile 5 open handicap chase at the Punchestown Festival, which is usually a fair bit less competitive than the plate. Now, handicapping has changed. Type of horses being able to plate have changed. Last year, Hewitt won off 155, the highest mark defied this century. But he was good enough to be in contention in the home straight in the Gold Cup. And 4 horses have tried to run off a mark of 160 or more in the plate this century. They finished 10th, 11th. 2 were pulled up, including Road to Riches, who went off 3.25 favourite. So I reckon to be winning off that sort of mark, you need to be Gold Cup place standard. And I don't think Kilcrut's that good. The ground is probably going to be softer than he wants. So I think he's the wrong favourite. It wouldn't surprise me if the rain comes, he doesn't go off favourite. And he's definitely one I want to take on in both the win and the place market.
Okay, that's Kilcrut at the head of the betting at the moment, around about 6.0. Matt's going to lay him win and place in the plate for the reasons he's given. Best bets on the Wednesday, I'll go Andy Dufresne in the plate. Don?
And a Scary in the plate.
And a Scary in the plate. And Matt?
We'll have one in the 2 mile 6 handicap hurdle.
Those are your 3. And you could do a little each way Trixie if you wanted, because you could land the place betting, and well worth putting those in together for those 3. Hopefully, anyway, it's an open enough day. As is Thursday, we're going to start with the Galway Hurdle, the 505. Matt Toombs with the trend, take it away.
So the trend for the Galway Hurdle is that 9 winners this century had already won a race at the Galway Festival. 4 only on the flat, 2 over hurdles, only 2 on both, 1 in a bumper. So this is not the only race at the meeting, but is one that's a particular race, not just for Galway specialists, but Galway Festival specialists, horses that are trained specifically for this meeting. Don and I like the same horse, so I'll let him make the case.
He can do. I take it that's showing pretty good returns. Is it 9 of 23? That must be, given the nature of the race.
Oh, yeah. Last year went off 23.0. We had a 34.0 winner in Many Rainbows in that as well.
Yeah. So those 2 will do it. That's big profit already. And 9 and the 23 winners already won at the Galway Festival. Go on, then you 2 are with this Merlin Giant, Don.
I was hoping Matt was going to make the case, and I was just going to get that's
you just copied and pasted, didn't you?
Yeah, just so I can spell it correctly. Look, Emmett Mullins, the Me family, that's flashing lights straight away. And look, we know that all the Me horses, they love having winners at Galway. They had one yesterday. They won the big GP or the Connacht Total race yesterday with Teed Up. and he's a bit of a Galway specialist now. He's won 4 out of 6, I think, at Galway, and finished second in the other 2. But Merlin Giant last year got beaten in a maiden and the qualified riders maiden early in the week, and then went back and won his maiden hurdle, won it impressively from Hubrisco a couple of days later. And yeah, you suspect that he's just been gearing up for coming back to Galway. But in the meantime, he won the big Bar 1 Racing handicap hurdle at the Hatton's Grace hurdle meeting at Fairyhouse, and that was a really competitive race. They went really fast, and then they all kind of concertinaed at the top of the home straight. He was probably in front a wee bit earlier than ideal, but he went away and won impressively. He's warmed up for this with a win on the flat at Down Royal last time, and like he's in here off a mark of 137, which it's £10 higher than the mark off which he won at Fairyhouse, but he's dropped a couple of pounds in the ratings since then, in the spring when he finished down the field a couple of times. And like Hubrisco, who he beat last year, is now rated in the low 130s, and he beat Hubrisco well. So yeah, up back at Galway, and he handles all types of ground, so he won't mind if the rain comes either. So yeah, I think Emmett Mullins had that big winner yesterday. He's got plenty in his favour.
Don, do you think so? The way I had it lined up pace-wise, that was that, I don't think he'll be too far away. He tends to be ridden pretty prominently, although he has been held up once or twice in the past. And with that, do you think it's important on the hurdles track not to get too far back, or not?
Yeah, again, we're back to like Galway, and it's a funny track because I don't, a bit like Goodwood actually, which is kind of ironic, they're in the same week on the flat. I don't think there's a set way to ride Galway, because you often see at Goodwood horses who are ridden in the inside don't get the gaps and they're unlucky. It's similar at Galway, but I prefer a horse kind of racing middle to outside, because when you start up the hill, if your momentum gets checked on the run up the hill, it can be very difficult to get that back. And I prefer give away ground by going wide in order to ensure that you get a run of the race. And yeah, like you don't want to be coming from too far back. Ideally, it's a very stiff hill, and especially on soft ground, I think take a lot of getting. But it is difficult to make ground from in behind unless they've gone really, really hard up front. So yeah, you don't want to be too far back. We saw the very man yesterday came from a long way back in a race in which the pace held up pretty well. So he did well to come from as far back as he did. But generally, yeah, you generally don't want to be that far back in a race.
I thought it was interesting for Mighty Tom, who I quite liked, but is probably going to be ridden very cold. We'll see. Big old field. What do you want to add to Merlin Giant, Matt?
Echo everything Don said. It was notable that Emmett Mullins said when he came out at Punchestown after that big break that the run would tee him up for a summer campaign. As Don said, the Mees, Emmett Mullins, this has clearly been the target. Just on the tactics, I agree with that. I think the last horse to have been held up to win this was Clondor Warrior 7 years ago. Even more so in the plate, you've got to go back to Sir Frederick in 2007. I think it's hard to make up ground in that race. So they're quite good races, particularly the plate, I think, for in-running bettors on the Matchbook Exchange, because you sometimes see a few of the fancied ones quite a long way back early on, and they don't have a good record.
Am I mad that I think Tudor City can feature off the same mark and do it for the third year in, 5 or 6? I know he's not the obvious one, but surely this has just been the plan. Nice little spin last time. I thought he was 21.0, but I thought I just like horses doing what they've done before, and I thought he was going to be there or thereabouts.
Well, I put a line through him pretty quickly last year and he won, so I wouldn't put you off after that.
No, he was like that. The race that he won at the Curragh, Tom, like I fully agree with you. He was really impressive in winning it, and that was, you'd imagine, as you say, the run that was going to bring him forward. Like he's 11 years old now. Like he would confound history Arama if he goes and wins it. He was the first horse since Penshater to win 2 Galway hurdles when he won it last year. He was the first 10-year-old to win it since the 1940s. He's 11 now. No horse has ever won it 3 times, and yet I wouldn't put you off at all. I think he goes there with a chance.
And he's just so consistent at the track, isn't he? He's finished third in it as well. He's won it twice, 5th in it. I don't know. It's just a bit of a sort of there or thereabouts shout. I feel like I'm likely to be getting my place money, and you never know. Fingers crossed.
And it's Tony Larson, brilliant target trainer for these big handicaps. Has won 4 of the last 9 Galway hurdles. So you do want trainers who are targeting at this time of year. If you think about some of the other big target trainers for these sort of races, like Charles Burns, doesn't have such a good record. But Tony Martin, I assume, will have just laid him out for this again.
Yeah, put it this way, I'm not too concerned that he's been beaten 160 lengths on his last 4 starts over hurdles. Okay, good. Hello, Peter, by the way. He says, how many favs won in the end yesterday? I can't tell you. Don might be able to, but...
the first 4, anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it was just 4, yeah.
Different days coming. You would imagine it's going to be very open. Now, the beginner's chase 210. Matt, I'm going to throw straight over to you, please, because you picked this out to have a little look at.
Yeah, I thought Joya Mashan was going to beat Ballyadam at Wexford. He lost all momentum when nodding at the last. He was pretty confidently ridden and jumped soundly up until that point. He'd been deemed good enough by Paul Nolan, who has a good record bringing horses over for big races in Britain, to contest the Challow, where he went off 5.0. Like plenty of the runners, he didn't handle the conditions. Wasn't seen again for 99 days. Stepped up to 3 miles on his last run over hurdles and bolted up a minor conditions event. Racing Post rating of 144 was decent form. He may not want the ground to deteriorate too much, but hopefully it'll have dried out a bit by Thursday, because after the rain forecast for tonight, it's due to be reasonably dry. If it's not really soft, it looks like the step back up to an extended 2 3/4 will suit him. And I think there's some of these that I get the impression will be aimed at handicaps, including Mars Harper, who runs over 2 1/4 today if he turns out again. Joya Mashan, from listening to Paul Nolan, could be one who's primed for this.
Don, where are you looking? Again, no prices.
Yeah, Jungle Pros. She was behind Joya Mashan at Wexford last time over hurdles, and she was beaten at Kilbeggan by choice of words last time on her first run over fences. But that was a first run over fences. She was so progressive last year over hurdles. Like, she improved from marks in the 80s and 90s up to a mark of 100 in the high 130s over hurdles. And I thought that run at Kilbeggan was, look, she does have to improve if she's going to reverse placing with Joya Mashan from their hurdles form. That was over 3 miles, so 2 miles 6.5 tomorrow, on Thursday. It's not that much different given how stiff Galway is. But I just thought the last day she was staying on at the end of 2 miles 3 and closed on choice of words. And if she jumped the second last a wee bit better, I think she might have even beaten choice of words. Choice of words is a good mare of Martin Brazel. So I just think if she can her jumping throughout was not overly fluent, which is fine for a debutante. But if she can jump a wee bit better, then that should bring her up to her hurdles level over fences, and she could surpass her hurdles level over fences, and that could give her a chance of reversing places with Joya Mashan. I expect Joya Mashan will be towards the head of the market. It'll be a shorter price than her, but I just think that she could improve a fair bit on a Kilbeggan run, and the step up in trip will suit her.
All right, move on to the Grade 3 novice chase. And while I tell you that, I'm just catching up with Diego Diaz winning with probably a first ever runner in the UK from Ireland at Goodwood. Did you see that, Don?
I didn't see it, no.
I believe that. I know nothing about Diego Diaz. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, he does well. He doesn't have many horses, but I think it was his first winner just a few weeks ago here. But that's brilliant.
Yeah, 21.0. There you are. We didn't find that horse. 245 is that Grade 3 contest, and well, look, you've got some well-known horses in here and some real newcomers to this sort of division. Don, where do you want to start?
This is a really good race. Like Hercule Soy, I think he might be short enough, but he's such an exciting horse. Like he was a good hurdler, but I think he's had 3 runs over fences to date, and his jumping has improved with each one. Like last time at Killarney, he was brilliant. Jody McGarvey just allowed him roll away, and his jumping was superb for a horse just having his 3rd run over fences, and he beat Solness, who reopposes, beat Watchhouse Cross. They're good horses, and he never looked like he wasn't going to beat them. He's such an exciting horse to watch, and he was a wee bit of a tearaway over hurdles, but with fences now, he seems to be just relaxing an awful lot more in his races. And look, in Lieutenant High was good horse. Solness is back in there. Ballyadam was good the last day, and beating Hebrisco kept on really well. As Matt said, that was the race in which Joya Mashan was definitely a challenger on the far side and made a bad mistake at the second last. And Ballyadam was good to see Ballyadam getting his first win over fences on the board. But I think like Hercules Soy, he beat Ballyadam at Ballinroad the time before that. I think Ballyadam is going to have to improve again if he's going to beat Hercules Soy. It may not be a betting race, Tom. It may be a race in which Hercules Soy is going to be too short, but if he jumps with the fluency that he jumped the last day at Killarney, I think he could win this pretty well.
Do you think he'll be odds on, Don?
Yeah, I'd say he might be. Yeah,
Probably would be, wouldn't he? Fair enough.
But I think he's a horse for like he's better than a summer jumper. I think he could go on and be a real player in the novice chasing division this year.
Well, that was going to be my next thing, Matt. Who was the last winner, not just of this race, but a Galway Festival novice chase to actually go on and be a proper horse?
I remember back in Focus won the 2 mile 6 beginners chase before winning the 4 miler. Not certainly the last one, but he was certainly one.
Well, and Rathvinden won the 4. Well, no, hang on, it wasn't the 4 miler then, was it? But Rathvinden's won this, so he could be a very, very good horse. This Hercule de Soy, do you think? Yeah,
and the key point is the one Don made. His last run at Killarney, he was absolutely electric over his fences, really slick and fast. You need that at Galway. They go a good clip, takes plenty of jumping. So he's got Racing Post ratings of 156 and 157 his last 2 chase starts. Even allowing for the elevated ratings, easy winners of summer jump races tend to get. That's setting a really good standard here. So I think he'll take all the beating. If he is odds against, then I think it'll be a decent bet. As you say, he may be odds on, but there are enough horses in this that I hope he wouldn't be too short.
Okay, then we move on to the flat race we're going to be previewing at Galway. It's the listed Fillies Stakes over 7 furlongs. Again, we've got no prices as yet. I didn't want to be the classic British guy that tips up a British trained horse, but here I am. Only because I felt that I think there's a fair chance that Dandy Alice won't be that well respected in the market here. 3-year-olds have got a half decent record, although I don't know the amount that have tried. But I think she might be the best of the 3-year-olds in here anyway. I guess Keep in Touch is a course and distance winner and deserves plenty of respect. But I don't think that Epsom on quick ground would have really suited. She ran well at Carlisle last time when beaten by Vativer, who I then put up to win a race last weekend. She was taken out, unfortunately. So we didn't get to see how well she'd have got on. But I think the form's actually all right for it being Carlisle listed race. I don't think she stayed the mile in behind Blue Rose Sen at the back end of last year, but she was a price there. But if you go back to the Curragh run behind Streets of Gold, that's a half decent run and a good bit of form. And I think she probably paid the price for racing prominently there. So I guess the angle is that I'm hoping with the quality that you've got in here, probably going to go off ahead of her in the betting. I would hope that you'll be getting sort of high single digits or bigger about Dandy Alice and Rafe Beckett and Colin Keane. Rafe Beckett's well worth respecting when he sends a runner over to Ireland, and I think it's interesting that Colin Keane rides as well. So I'll go with her. Don?
Yeah, interesting. All right. I'm surprised to see Keep in Touch dropping back down in trip. I thought she ran in the Blue Wind Stakes last time, and I thought she's a filly who might want to step up in trip. She's out of Unaccompanied, who was top class filly for Dermot Well and for Moyclair, finished second in the Triumph Hurdle, I think, won the Grade 1 juvenile hurdle here and was dual purpose mare, ran on the flat as well. But Keep in Touch, back down from 10 furlongs to 7 furlongs to see Dermot Well is fitting a visor for the first time. And that might work because she's a classy filly. And as you're saying, Tom, she's won over the course and distance on soft ground as a juvenile when she stayed on well to win that day. That was back in September. So I just think she might be vulnerable back down to 7 furlongs. And I thought I'd take a chance with Pandora Lovegood. I suspect she'll be a big price, and she's got plenty to find on ratings. But she was so good last year. She won a nursery at the festival last year, which she stayed on really well. And she didn't run then. She ran in the Park Express Stakes, the Well Park Stakes at the Curragh at the end of the season, and didn't run well. But she came back at Leopardstown there the other day and kept on well to take 5th place behind Savory Love and Karachi. They battled at the finish, but she stayed on nicely. She was a massive price that day. I suspect she'll be a big price again, but I'm sure that Joe Murphy and young Joe Jr. will have had this race in mind for her for a little while. And maybe things haven't gone to plan because she didn't make her debut until Leopardstown there last week, and that was her first run back after a long break. So that's her second run in whatever 7 or 8 days. which that brings the bounce factor in. But she kind of was ready to run a couple of times and was taken out for different reasons. So I'm hoping that her last run will bring her forward. And I think back down to 7 furlongs will suit her as well. She's got good Galway form. So yeah, I think she's interesting at, possibly, we don't have betting on her. I can't see betting, but I think she'll be a bit of a price.
Yeah, I think she probably will. She's got a bit to find on official figures with all the other 3-year-olds in there. So we'll see. All right. Any other Thursday bets for Matchbook Zero long shot? I'm going with Perfuse over at Goodwood, the 150, dropping back to 10 furlongs. He's a horse I had in mind for the 1.5 mile race tomorrow, I think it is. But he's obviously coming back in trip off the back of the run at Ascot, where he did far too much up top. They went a silly pace and he paid the price. If he was running over 1.5 miles, all this, I'd side with him, but purely on the fact that he did best of those up with the pace last time, I think he's worth a bet. Perfuse in the 150 at Goodwood. He's around about 6.0. Matt?
The 4:30 at Galway. I was a fan of Incanto Bruno bumpers last season. His win at Cheltenham in October worked out well. Got stuck in the mud at the festival, and he does look ground dependent. So if the ground dries out to be yielding or quicker, then he may be a backable price in what looks a warm contest with the big yards well represented. Little bit of a concern about the form of the O'Connell yard, but I think this is a potential graded horse on a sound surface. So hopefully it will dry out for him.
Incanto Bruno in the 4:30. Matchbook Zero long shot. Remember, the market goes live at 10 a.m. each day. There's 0 commission and there's 0 margin as well. So take advantage of that. You can place a single bet on Matchbook Zero, whichever stake you like, and you're going to almost certainly be getting best odds, and you'll see that in your returns. I'm with Tudor City in the 5:05 at Galway, trying to win the hurdle for the 3rd time. Don?
Yeah, Pandora Lovegood at what I hope will be a biggish price.
And Matt?
Merlin Giant in the hurdle.
And Matt, only you with a lay in the 5:05?
Yeah, this is the favourite, Zarak the Brave, both the win and the place markets. The last 4-year-old to win this was in 2000. 31 have tried and failed since. He's only won a 3-year-old maiden. Effective mark of 142 after the £3 weight for age is included. It's early on in terms of testing the strength of last season's juvenile form against their elders. I'm not convinced he's well handicapped. And at around 6.5, he's a favourite I'm keen to take on.
All right, and our best bets. We've got one in 3 different races. I'll go with Dandy Alice in the listed race, Rafe Beckett's filly, the 3:55. Don, your best bet?
Yeah, Merlin Giant in the hurdle for all the reasons earlier.
And Matt?
And Hercule de Soy in the hope that he isn't too short.
All right. The Sports Elephant says Rawaya in the 5:05 at Goodwood is the Wednesday nap. That's today. Then Perfuse and Incanto Bruno on Thursday. Good luck. We're with one of those and against the other. Thanks for joining in, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed our Galway preview. We'll be back on Thursday to wrap up the rest of Goodwood, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.